Good morning again. Doing another day hike in the Enchantments area. Today I'm starting out at the 8 Mile Lake trailhead and going to be heading up to Cashmere Mountain. Looks like we've reached Little 8 Mile Lake, which is the first major landmark you come to. So pretty soon there should be a junction where we will be heading up the slope towards Lake Caroline, whereas the main trail to 8 Mile Lake just continues on up the valley. So we should be turning off to the right pretty soon. It's just an hour in so far, about 1,200 feet, and just under 2.7 miles according to my watch. I believe this is that junction I was mentioning. It says 8 Mile Trout Creek to the right, whereas 8 Mile Lake continues on ahead. So I believe this is where we're going to cut off, start heading up towards Lake Caroline, and then Windy Pass. Over the crest from where you come up the hill from Little 8 Mile, and we're going down again for a little ways to get to Lake Caroline, and that's where I'm gonna stop and take a break and eat some food. It's been just under 2 hours and 20 minutes so far, just over 5 miles and about 3,100 feet of elevation gain. Looks like we're gonna lose 1 to 200 here down to the lake, but yeah, I'm ready to stop and have a snack. All right, so here we are at Lake Caroline. There's been a bunch of little trout jumping out here. The bugs have not been bad at all yet. I think I came at a perfect time, late enough in the summer that they've kind of died back, and so I'm just pausing right here, have a little snack. Trail report thus far, there were a couple really short muddy sections. They weren't terrible, and as others have commented on, like Washington Trails Association, the trail from when you leave Little 8 Mile Lake and come up here to Lake Caroline, there's intermittent parts, especially at the beginning, where it's pretty grown in. You just kind of push through the brush as you go through, but it's not slide alder. I don't know what it is. It's mostly lower growing and wasn't terrible to push through. So it's been a great hike so far this morning. So I'm sitting here eating, and I look over and I notice a grouse just walked out of the foliage right behind me, coming over towards the lake. It's pretty funny. Just hanging out right there. Just sitting there, eating some grain off the grass there. I believe we might be coming to the top of Windy Pass. Coming up the Windy Pass ridgeline, you start to get a really good view of Stuart over there in the North Ridge. Shows up real well. Argonaut, Coalchuck, Dragon Tail. You can see Enchantment and Cannon over there. And then back over here to our objective. We'll be at the very top of Cashmere. Just gonna work our way up along here, around, just below the west, over on the north side, and then scramble up. West Cashmere Mountain. The views keep getting better and better behind us. And then way across. As you're coming along here, you don't want to start going up too early unless you want to do other sub peaks, because I'm pretty sure the main peak is still over that way. And I think the trail's just meandering along through here until we're all the way to the edge of the gully before we go up. Just stay on the south side and follow the cairns if you want the path of least resistance. Oh, we're close. One more over. Almost there. Very summit, Cashmere Mountain. Beautiful views up here. Pretty steep at the end. Here is me on the very summit, and you can see Stuart in the Enchantments behind me. Really good views. You know, looking back over my shoulder there would be over towards Leavenworth and Cashmere and Wenatchee. We'll look out this way to the north. You can see Glacier Peak is in the clouds right now over there, but you can actually see Baker, Sloan, I think it's Monte Cristo group over there. Oh, I can see down here, I can see the top of Bering poking up. So you got Bering, Merchant, and Gun over there. And then over this way, I'm not sure, I might be looking at Mount Daniel over there. But down here, of course, we got Mount Rainier. Stuart's big and beautiful straight across from us. And then looking down at Kolchak Lake. So after Stuart, you got Sherpa there, then Argonaut, Kolchak, Dragon Tail. You can see through to Little Annapurna, where I was when I was last in the Enchantments. And in fact, you might even see I'm not sure if you can see the very top of McClellan through there. It looks like you can see the top of Enchantment and Cannon as well. So great views. It's looking pretty down into the valley. So over along the edge there was the way we came up Windy Pass. I've seen some trails that went straight down this ridge. I don't think I'm going to do that, because if you go down that way, it looks like you'd end up having to gain elevation again. So I may cut a little bit off of Windy Pass down to the trail where I can see I'm not going to have to go extra uphill. But otherwise, I'll mostly be retracing my route back. Yeah. Beautiful day. There's quite a few little just like house flies up here on the summit, but again, the bugs really haven't been bad overall, so pretty cool. Looking down to the valley, we came up down in there, went up and over to Windy Pass, and up along this ridge all the way up here and back down onto the trail. So I think there's a couple different spots you can cut off some mileage if you want. I liked that trail on the way up. Nice and established and moderate incline. On the way down, to save some time at this particular little rock band, I'm just going to cut straight down, because I can see here I can make it back to the trail without any big cliff bands, without having to go back up. So that'll just save me a little mileage. So that's where I'm going to cut off. Hopefully it'll show up on my track. We'll see how that goes. Going down this way has been pretty easy and direct. This stuff's soft, but it's not overly loose, so it's been easy to go down. And I'm able to stay mostly on the rocks and gravel, so I'm not traveling on the foliage too much either, which is good. So here's where I'm arriving back to the trail. That was an easy section to come down from the white band of rocks up there, down here. Didn't have to gain any elevation back. And we'll see how much it saves as far as distance on the way in. Up at the summit, I think it said I was at 9.5 miles of hiking. So if we are less than 19, or however much less than 19 on the way back, that's how much we saved. A marmot on the trail. Come on, marmot, let's trail run. Are you ready? Because I'm out of here. Hey, bud. You're a good runner too. I was running along and I startled him. Got all these wildflowers along here, super pretty. All right, made it back to the car. My watch put me at about 18.4 miles total and just under 6,000 feet of elevation gain. I know the total is supposed to be just over, I think, and it may have been. I don't know how accurate my watch is. I did try to take the most efficient path I could, do the least amount of up and down. There definitely is some up and down on this trail, and it looks like I probably cut about 0.6 miles by cutting that little section off from Windy Pass, and that also saved me a little elevation gain, so I would have had to go back up. Only saw about 5 other parties in the area at all. Only 2 that I saw that were coming around Windy Pass towards the mountain when I was cutting down, so I never actually crossed their path. And then I saw several groups that had gone to Lake Caroline or lower down on the trail. So it's a nice spot to go if you want to be in this area and have way less crowds than, say, going up to Kolchak Lake or anywhere at the core Enchantments area. And you still get some pretty good views. The higher you go, the better they are. So yeah, it was a good time. I will see you on the next one.